Hey everyone, I'm Chris Mihaljevic. Welcome to this training on what we like to call the two-home dilemma. Why am I making this video for you? So I have clients so many times that have to buy and sell a house, and they're always coming to me with so many questions, a lot of confusion. Many people who I know would be buying a home, but they just assume already that they know they can't do it due to just having to sell first and not having a plan set up. So if you're someone who's looking to move up, downsize, assisted living, or you're building a home, what I'm gonna do is help you figure out what the game plan looks like, how to set timelines, and how to have the right expectations of what that process looks like. So no matter what you're going through, I really want to help equip you so you can move that process confidently, not blindly. And if your realtor doesn't know what they're doing, you kind of have a game plan anyway. So who am I and why should you be listening to me? My name is Chris Mihaljevic. Like I said, I have been doing real estate for 9 years. I own a brokerage in Northwest Indiana, and we also operate in Illinois as well. We have 15 agents here at my brokerage. We also have a commercial side of our business with an attorney in-house. I have personally sold over 300 homes on market. I've flipped homes, I've property managed, I've done rentals, and I've helped a lot of investors do properties that are off market as well. I only share all this information not to brag because I don't want this to feel like an idea, like of a best case scenario that I haven't already practiced. This is something I've used 100 times in the process. I've walked through pain points, failures, successes to really finalize and really work this process to something that I think is very successful for most consumers. So first off, one big thing I always hear, can you do both? Yes. One realtor can do both sides of the process. Many times I'll help buyers who say, hey, I'm looking to buy this home. It's in this market. Oh, by the way, I also have to sell a home. Do you know somebody that can help me with that? Or do you do that as well? So yes, every realtor who's licensed to help you buy should also be licensed to help you sell. There are some teams sometimes or offices that will have a process where, hey, this is the person listing your home, but this will be the person helping you buy. Many times that's because that agent is a listing specialist, they'll call themselves, and they'll have buyer agents because they have too many clients. It's a great problem. More power to them. For you as a consumer, I would highly recommend that they are part of the whole process for you. Yes, they don't have to necessarily open every door that you look to buy, but as far as writing the actual contract on the listing side and writing the contract on the buy side, there should be a one agent thing, because no matter how good the communication is between the buying agent and the selling agent for you, just like anything with Chinese telephone, if this is the end plan on the sell and this is the end plan on the buy, there can be a loss of communication, and timelines are incredibly important, expectations are incredibly important, and you kind of want one person to be handling that entire thing. So as far as showing you the home, yes, someone else can do that, but please have one agent in charge of all the contracts and paperwork. So the real first step is knowing what you want. I meet people at all parts of that timeline, whether it's they're looking to move in a couple years, they are looking to move this upcoming summer, or they want to move right now. That could be based on at a certain time, I want to be in a school district, I want to be in my home, settled before summer ends. Okay, that's a timeline. Hey, we're having a kid in 9 months and we need to have a bigger home by then. You have an assisted living situation where you need to be out of the home at a certain time in order to apply for Medicare or whatever, and that's a specific timeline that helps you know exactly what you want. Another thing about what you want is based around your finances, right? People can be afraid of having 2 mortgages. People can't have 2 mortgages. People say, I don't know if I can come up with the money for a down payment based upon the next purchase if I don't sell my home first. So equipping me with knowing what your financial situation is very important. I know it's not as fun as talking to the realtor about the beautiful new home you want or the story of the house that you live in and when you want to sell, but if we don't know your financial situation, we're not really equipped to actually make a plan. So when you reach out to a lender, I've had it where clients have thought they needed to sell their home first, and actually they qualified to purchase the next home without selling first, whether it was a debt to income issue or they were worried about having 2 mortgages, but in reality, when you close on one home, you usually don't make that first payment for about a month and a half, 2 months, all depending on the day of the month that you close. Knowing that can really help us set up a game plan for what our next steps are. Knowing what you want as far as living situation. Hey, can you have temporary living situation? Can you put your stuff in storage? Do you have family in the area that you want to live with for a while? I've had many people that do want to buy and sell, but they want 3 to 5 months between those because they want to save up some money for the next home. Most people want to overlap them, and so we're going to get into that, but not knowing what you want really doesn't equip me to come up with a game plan. And also just kind of knowing what home you plan to buy. If it's a new construction, that's completely different. It could be a home that's already half completed, model home that they're going to sell that you can buy and close on in 45 days, or it's something that hasn't even broken ground yet. Is this a 6-month builder? Is this a 9-month builder? Is this a 12-month builder? Is this a builder who says they can do it in a year, but out of my experience, it's going to take them 2 years? All those things, again, help us come up with a timeline because those drastically affect when do we actually list our home? How can we list our home? Can we start the process of building without listing our home first? All that. We have to know what you want to buy in order to actually set you up for when to sell. Another situation is for a lot of people, hey, I'm going to downsize. They're living in that dream home or whatever their final home, but now they need to downsize to a little ranch. Well, guess what? That ranch is also a first-time home buyer home. It's going to be highly contested. You have to have a much different game plan than if you were moving up or buying the $600,000, $700,000 home, because those don't have as much competition. So we have more options. So knowing what you want to buy in your end goal really helped me set up the start of the game plan as well. So at the end of the day, just truly knowing what you want really equips me as your realtor to serve you better. So now I know what you want. Now I have a proper starting point to come up with the game plan and walk through expectations and communicate to you what you should expect along the way. So first off, what's the market like, right? Is the market hot? We have more options. Is the market cold? We have less options. So the way that works, if it's hot, that means you as a seller are the big decision maker. You are the king of the castle. If you don't want to sell to this person, you don't have to, right? You set up, hey, this is when we need to close. This is how many days of possession we need. This is how long you have to wait for us to find our home. If it's hot, people want your home, then you have all the options in the world. If it's cold, we have a few less options. And so we're going to get into that. First off, like I said, you as a seller, at the end of the day, you're always in the position of power. So don't walk into this scenario where you're like, oh, I have to buy and sell, and this is a big unknown. Let us walk through that. But at the end of the day, you are the seller. You have the option to just not sell your home, right? At the end of the day, that is the power play move that you have available to you at any time. You say, I want to have the option to close in 75 days, 90 days, the buyer needs to wait. If they don't want to do that, then just say no to their offer, right? It's all part of the negotiation. So that's very important for you to know. Step one, you are in the power position as the seller. So my golden line that I write into my contracts for my sellers is, our offer is contingent on seller finding and closing on the home of their choice same day. I'm not an attorney, but that kind of covers all of our bases. You, the seller who is also buying, you are saying to the person that is buying your home, hey, thank you for your offer, but just so you know, we are contingent on finding and closing on the home of your choice same day. They have to wait for you pretty much to close on the home of your choice. In that situation, the buyer knows right then and there that they have to be flexible in order to buy your home. The seller on the home that you were buying, they already know that you're contingent on selling your home because that's a part of your financing contingency. So that's already set up. But the buyers on your home now know what kind of game we're playing now and what the expectations are them as the buyer as far as their flexibility. When we say it's contingent on you finding and closing, many times I'll see agents write, hey, it's contingent on our sellers finding the home of their choice. Well, that's great. You found the home. Let's say you contracted on it, but the inspection goes bad. The appraisal goes wrong. Somebody loses their job. Well, you didn't make your contingency based upon you closing, even though you found it. So that buyer still expects to have the ability to buy your home, and now you are homeless. That big fear you had, you are homeless because you still are going to sell them your home because you weren't contingent on closing on the home of your choice. So make sure that your realtor writes closing on the home of your choice. And also we put in the words same day. So for you, the seller / buyer on the next home, you want to close on the same day. Yes, you're probably contingent on selling your home to buy the next one. So you need to close your home first. You don't want a situation where you just sold your home and now you have to wait a couple days before you buy the next one. You want them to be the exact same day. So make sure it's written that way. Contingent on closing on the home of your choice same day. That way, if your buyer is ready to close, their financing's lined up, and then the seller on the home that you're buying says, hey, I need to wait a couple days, you have the right now to tell your first buyer, sorry, we're not closing now because it's contingent on us closing the same day. So they have to also wait. So all apologies to your buyer, but this is what they've agreed to at the beginning. So you just have to set the expectations and the contract up correctly to set you up for success in knowing that you're going to be able to close both homes the same day. Let's say your buyers give resistance, right? We're in one of those colder markets, right? This first scenario is based upon a hot market. You're the seller, you make the rules. You're seeing that a lot. These offers are crazy. They'll give you whatever you want. Let's say it's a really cold market. Your home's been listed for a while, but you still want that flexibility of closing dates. You have to be able to give the buyers some flexibility on that. And so usually we would write, hey, sellers have 30, 60, 90 days to find and contract on the home of their choice. So in that situation, you probably have to put in a clause in that says, we have 30, 60, 90 days to find and contract on the home of our choice. Now, seller, I've heard this conversation so many times. Oh no, well, we don't want to be at day 28 and then buy a home we don't really like, or be at day 60 and be stressing. That's not what we're doing. There will be realtors that just write that and then be done with it. But the real goal is to write 30, 60, 90 days to find a home of your choice, and then write, if that timeline passes, then the buyer of your home has the right to withdraw from the contract or extend their wait period. Never in that situation are we at day 29. You're looking at a couple homes. You don't like a couple of them. Gosh, well, I guess we'll just be forced into buying a home we don't like. I hear that a lot. I don't want to be forced into buying a home I don't really love. Well, guess what? It's day 29. You haven't found the home. I, your realtor, reach out to the other side and say, hey, appreciate your patience, but I know we're ending to that timeline. So now you have the right to back out of the deal. That stinks, but at the end of the day, you still have your home, or you can find a new buyer, or you can ask them to extend it. Or, hey, buyer, would you like to wait a little bit longer? And usually through that process, if your realtor is doing their job and communicating, they should be telling the first buyer's agent, we're looking at 6 homes this weekend. Hey, we're looking at 4 homes. If your agent's not even keeping the other side in the loop, they're going to feel like you might be dragging your feet and they don't want to wait. But if you're actively telling the other side, hey, we saw 4 homes, we wrote an offer, it didn't win, then at least they know that you're trying, and there's a little bit more of grace in that type of situation. So if it's a colder market, you should be putting in that clause that we have a timeline for finding the next home of our choice. But if we don't find a home, that buyer has the right to back out or continue waiting. Never is there a situation where, hey, it's been 30 days. We've only had 30 days to find a home. I guess we still have to sell our home to that consumer, and now we're homeless. In any of those situations, you as a seller do have the right to agree to whatever the buyer wants. Let's say you do have a cash buyer that comes in and says, hey, I'm gonna give you everything you want. I need you out in 45 days. Again, even if it's a great offer, you are in that power position. You say, nope, don't want that offer. No, I need time. No, whatever. It does stink to pass up on a good offer, but don't ever feel like, and don't let your realtor ever make you feel like you were pressured into accepting an offer that never ended up lining up with your original game plan and what you wanted in the first place. On the home that you're buying, right? So you're the seller and now you have to buy that home. Yes, in a hot market, like we talked about, it'll be very hard to put an offer based upon the contingency of you selling your home when it's not under contract. If it's a cold market, what it's called is contingent on sale. So you have your home listed or you're gonna list it within a week and it's contingent on you selling your home. Those are different. So in a hot market, it is very difficult for someone to accept a contingent on sale offer for their home when you haven't listed your home in the first place or you don't have an offer. But the good news is on that end, let's say you do get an accepted offer and you're contingent on sale. Great. Put your home up, hopefully get a buyer before you get bumped by a non-contingent buyer. Let's say you got that offer accepted on your purchase, on your selling side, you try to get a buyer as quickly as possible, right? Because you want to go contingent on close, from contingent on sale to contingent on close of your home. During that timeline, if you never get a buyer, it's not like anything the seller can do on that end. They're just waiting on you. Yes, there's usually a written timeline of you have 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, but just like the other scenario, usually they'll extend that if they know that you're actively trying to sell their home or sell your home. The seller on that end, you always were contingent on selling your home first. So for whatever reason, if your home gets under contract, falls apart, that buyer loses their job on buying your house, it stinks. It's not a fun scenario, but you're never forced to buy the next house because guess what? You can't. You've always been contingent on selling your home, and financing contingency is always a clause in the contract. And since you can't get financing, you can't buy the home. You get your earnest money back. The game plan for as far as purchasing your home is a little easier because it's always based upon you being able to sell as well. So contingent on sale in a cold market is possible, but in a hot market, don't expect that to work out. Most of the times you would have to list your home first and have it under contract before buying the next home or before even writing an offer on the next home. So in those scenarios, it's really important, again, how you write the contract. Contingent on you, the seller, finding and closing on the home of your choice same day. So remember that. You can write contingent on close offers in a hot market and get accepted, but you need to have your buyer have the right expectations because in a hot market, it's probably not that easy for you to find a home. And if it's a hot market, your contingent on close offer is not as strong. But don't let anyone tell you, hey, you have to buy and sell. I'm contingent on my house selling. I just need to stay out of the market. Nope, you still get opportunities to buy homes. So please don't let that stop you. And remember, when you're buying that home, if for any reason, when you buy that next home, because the way you wrote it out as being contingent on finding and closing the home of your choice, I'm going to say it a million times because it needs to say that. If you do the inspection on the next home, let's say, and it's a bad inspection that falls through, your buyer was all excited because you contracted and their timeline started to close on your home. But since your timeline stopped, so did theirs. Because you're contingent on closing, you don't have to sit there and be like, oh, well, we already started this process. Now we're stuck. They're going to continue buying our home and we have to go out and find a new home and hopefully close in 25 days. It's very stressful. You write it out very specifically about how the timelines need to work and you, again, are in the power position. So you need to act like it. Now, let's say everything's going well. Inspection went well. Appraisal went well. Everyone's ready to move forward and we're closing soon, right? Okay, great. We're closing same day. This is what we wanted. Everyone's happy. You got the amount you wanted on your home. You get to buy the home of your choice. Most people don't prefer to live in a truck, even within those 24 hours, right? I just sold my home at 8 a.m. and I'm closing on my buy at 12. I'm homeless for 4 hours. Okay, that guy got my keys at closing. Where am I in those 4 hours? Like we're getting McDonald's and we're waiting to close and hopefully nothing happens. No. Another provision that you should be writing in your contract is that you, the seller on your first home, has possession of the home for 3 days after closing. You can say 5 days, 7 days, whatever. 3 days is a little more standard. Generally, if you're the first home, you're usually the first time home buyer's home. That consumer can wait. That's a harder home to get, or they're in a rental situation. So you ask for, on your sale, 3 days of possession. You have the keys, you have the home, even though you've already sold it that day. And on that same day, you're purchasing a home, and on that home, you say, I want possession the day of closing. So what does that mean? That means you close at 1 at 8 a.m. You still keep the keys. I'll let you know in 3 days when you can have them. And then at noon, you close on your buy, you get the keys same day. So now you have 2 sets of keys. You don't technically own that first home, but you still have possession of it. So personally, I had a situation when we moved out here to Indiana where we were closing same day, but no possession days were given. That buyer the night before on our home decided to buy furniture and a truck. They no longer were proof of the home. So we had all our stuff in boxes. We were in the truck going to the closing table and we no longer could buy the next home and our home was already packed up. So to avoid that situation, yes, you should plan plan a little bit more than 3 days beforehand, but at least with 3 days, you know you don't have to be exactly ready to move out of the house until both are confirmed and they're closing. So remember, 3 days of possession of closing on your sale, after closing, and on your purchase, closing day of. So with this game plan, having your buyer know, you as a seller, the seller on the home that you're buying all know the game plan, you can really line up the days well to cover all the issues that you might run into. And as well as, hey, if something falls apart in the process, inspection, appraisal, people lose jobs, I've had clients die, sadly, divorces, all kinds of things that happen, you have it written out that you will still have your home, worst case scenario. You aren't required to sell it because you haven't found something that you want to buy or that you can close on. And then that buyer knows, hey, they're just kind of waiting and hoping that your situation, the next set of dominoes after them, also fall properly. So now that you have the game plan written out, the last thing you really need to do is have a realtor that knows how to control the flow of the deal. You have 2 inspections, 2 appraisals, 2 closings, 2 sets of possessions to juggle. All those things need to be lined up appropriately. I have a client today even that they are selling their home in St. John, and then they're also buying a home in St. John, and they're contingent on closing that home in order to buy the next one. I wrote the contract just like I told you. I gave them 3 days possession on their house, possession day of closing on their purchase, and it's always contingent on them closing on the home of their choice. So I wrote it out just like I taught you guys. But today she calls me and says, hey, I have a work trip that week. I can't close that week anymore. That's the date on the contract, right? But hey, I'm going to do my job, try to help control the flow of the process. I reach out to Domino 1, their buyer. I reach out to Domino 3, their seller. And then their seller had to reach out to Domino 4 and 5 because we have 4 homes in this domino process of buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And said, hey guys, can we close earlier? Because yes, contracts can be extended, but to close earlier, it has to be mutually agreed to by everybody. So a lot of realtors will be like, nope, sorry, you can't go on that work trip, or sign digitally or something, which you guys can't do. But for me, I had to control the flow of the process and say, hey, yes, I will try to get it closed earlier. And guess what? Instead of closing August 1st, we're being closing July 27th. It worked out. It just requires a little bit of communication. And like I said from the beginning, having one realtor kind of controlling all aspects of communication, it's really beneficial for you. So when we talk about 2 inspections, 2 appraisals, 2 closings, 2 sets of possessions, controlling that flow is super important, right? You have an inspection on the home you're buying, probably right around the same time you have an inspection on the house that you're listing. How that inspection goes on your sale is also going to affect in your inspection on how you buy. If you know this one's falling apart, this one has crazy requests, the home that you're buying has no requests, you know you're gonna move forward, well, that's gonna affect on how you respond to the first inspection. Or the house that you're buying is really not what you hoped it was gonna be and your inspection went really well. How you respond to them and how you respond to them, that needs to be handled properly because it's gonna affect each other. This person doesn't wanna move forward anymore. This person just wasted their money on an inspection, right? Or you wasted money on an inspection on your purchase because you don't wanna move forward, and this guy's over here waiting, asking for a repair request, and you're like, I don't even know if I want you anymore, because guess what? We have to start over because we need to find a new home to buy. Controlling that flow is super important. Appraisals, same thing. Your house isn't going to appraise for as much. That might be an issue of, hey, I need to sell my home and have enough money for the down payment to buy the next house. You're not getting as much anymore because the appraisal is too low. Or the house that you're buying, the appraisal is low, and that consumer on the sell side of the house that you're buying, they don't want to drop their price. And so they're saying, suck it up or pay the difference. Here we go now. Are we starting all over? Are we telling your buyer no luck? I mean, there's all kinds of solutions, but you have to have a good control of that flow. And then last thing, the biggest and toughest one is the closings and the sets of possession. Just like we talked about in my example, having those closings line up perfectly for you that day of the, hey, it's coming around the corner, fear that 8 people have, it can be done well. It can handle and be lined up well for you, that you close on one in the morning, close on the other one in the afternoon, have possession for both, just like we talked about. And then for after you closed, having control of the process of like, hey, how do you get the keys? How do you give the keys to the other consumer? All that stuff is all based around having the right game plan and then having a realtor who knows how to control the flow. So if you have a realtor you like, that's great. Hopefully you can take this information that you've learned today and bring it to them and equip you both to do this process a little bit better. But if you have a house to sell and you're looking to buy your next home, whether that's move up, downsize, new construction, or move to a new area, and you want a realtor who knows how to hear what you want, knows how to properly set expectations and game plan, and lastly, communicate and control the flow of the process, then reach out below. We would love to talk and we'd be honored to serve you.